Have you ever found yourself doing everything right and still nothing changes? You meditate, you journal, you pray, you plan, you hustle, you stay up late visualizing the life you want, and yet everything around you remains stuck. It's like you're pouring your heart and soul into becoming a better version of yourself, but life just won't meet you halfway. If that feels familiar, you're not alone, and you're not broken. Here's the truth we're rarely told. It's not the effort that's the problem, it's the energy behind it. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist not only persists, but grows in size." Most of us are trying to force alignment with clenched fists. We chase healing while secretly telling ourselves we're still broken. We set goals out of fear will never be enough. We manifest while whispering doubts under our breath. In the universe, it doesn't respond to our words. It responds to our vibration. You see, your energy speaks louder than your affirmations. If deep down you're acting out of fear, desperation, or unworthiness, life will reflect that back to you again and again. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you don't want it enough. It's because part of you is still trying to earn what you already deserve. Let me ask you this. When you pray, do you feel peace or anxiety? When you visualize your dream life, do you feel empowered or panicked? Because those emotions are the real signal you're sending out. This isn't about giving up. This is about letting go of the need to force it, of the belief that struggle is proof of progress. True alignment doesn't happen when you fight harder. It happens when you surrender deeper. Imagine this. What if the most powerful thing you could do right now is to stop doing, to unclench your fists, to exhale, to stop trying to control the uncontrollable, and instead return to yourself? That's where transformation begins. Not in the noise, not in the chase, but in the stillness you've been too afraid to sit in. Because the truth is, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And if what you are is peaceful, whole, grounded, then everything you've been chasing will quietly begin to find its way to you. Part 1. Stop chasing. You're blocking yourself. Let me ask you something real. What if the thing you're chasing so hard isn't actually what you want? What if it's just a placeholder for a deeper wound? We live in a world that glorifies the chase. Chase success, chase love, chase the dream, move fast, hustle harder, never stop. But no one ever tells us to pause and ask, why am I chasing this in the first place? Because sometimes it's not about the dream, it's about the emptiness underneath it. We crave love, but what we're really starving for is to feel seen. We chase money, but underneath it, we just want to feel safe. We run after recognition, but deep down, we're still trying to prove to someone, maybe a parent, a past partner, maybe even ourselves, that we're finally enough. Carl Jung didn't teach us to run faster. He taught us to look inward, to confront the unconscious parts of ourselves, the parts we've ignored, denied, or buried for years. He said, till you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Here's what that really means. If you don't face the pain that shaped your desires, you'll keep chasing things that were never meant to fill you. You'll chase people who reflect your old wounds. You'll pursue careers that validate your insecurities. You'll build a life around the fear of not being enough and call it ambition. But here's the truth. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. If what you are is fragmented, afraid, still bleeding from old stories, then even if you get what you want, you won't be able to hold it. You'll sabotage it. You'll question it. You'll reject it because your energy is still whispering, I don't deserve this. So here's the radical shift. Before asking the universe for more, ask yourself, what part of me still feels empty? Because once you heal that, you stop chasing what was never yours to begin with, and you start attracting what was always meant for you. This isn't about quitting your goals. It's about changing your reasons. It's about becoming the kind of person who no longer needs the outcome because they already feel whole without it. That's when the magic starts. Not when you run harder, but when you finally stop and look within. Part 2. The unconscious is always listening. Most people think life is testing them, that every delay, every obstacle, every closed door is some kind of divine exam. Am I strong enough? Am I aligned enough? Am I doing enough? But what if I told you, you're not being tested, you're being mirrored. Life isn't judging you. It's simply reflecting back what your unconscious believes to be true. You see, we can say all the right affirmations. I am enough. I am abundant. I am ready. But if deep down you don't feel it, if your unconscious is still soaked in fear, doubt, and unworthiness, then your energy is sending a very different message. And the universe always responds to your energy, not your words. Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." And that quote, it hits different when you've been chasing external signs for too long, looking for signs in the sky, in numbers, in someone else's eyes, when the truth you're looking for has been quietly waiting inside you all along. Let me ask you something. When you think about your dream life, that relationship, that purpose, that peace, do you feel calm or do you feel tight in your chest? Is there excitement or is there fear underneath the hope? Because that's your unconscious speaking. It doesn't care what you say you want. It only responds to what you believe. And here's the twist most people miss. The more you push through fear with fake positivity, the louder that fear becomes. The more you stack affirmations on top of anxiety, the more disconnected you feel. Real transformation doesn't come from doing more. It comes from pausing long enough to listen, to stop, to breathe, to sit with what's real, even if it's uncomfortable, to hear the doubts, the insecurities, the stories you've been telling yourself for years and ask, is this really mine? Or is this something I've been carrying that no longer belongs? Because once you hear the voice of your unconscious, you can stop being driven by it. You can stop letting it run the show behind the scenes. This isn't about giving up on your dreams. It's about aligning your inner world so those dreams have somewhere safe to land. Because when your energy says, I'm ready, and means it, life doesn't hesitate. So maybe, just for today, don't try to fix, don't try to manifest, don't try to outrun the silence. Instead, be still, be present, be honest. Your unconscious is always listening. The question is, are you? Part 3. Letting go isn't failure, it's awakening. Let's talk about something that we're rarely taught, but desperately need to hear. Letting go is not giving up. It's not weakness. It's not quitting. It's awakening. And in many ways, it's the most courageous act of all. See, we've been conditioned to believe that if you really want something, you should never let go of it. Hold tighter, try harder, never stop. But that kind of grip, the kind that tightens out of fear, doesn't create alignment. It creates exhaustion. Because clinging isn't the same as caring, and obsessing isn't the same as being committed. Let me offer a different perspective. Detachment isn't apathy, it's power. It's the moment you reclaim all the energy you've been giving away to outcomes you can't control, to timelines that aren't yours, to people who were never meant to complete you. It's standing in the middle of the storm and saying, I've done what I could. Now I surrender what I can't. That doesn't mean you stop desiring. It means you stop depending, because real peace comes when your sense of enoughness isn't tied to anything outside of you. Ask yourself this, what if nothing changed tomorrow? Would you still be enough today? That's the work. Not waiting for the world to tell you you're worthy. but knowing that you already are, without the job title, without the relationship, without the applause. When you finally let go of needing something to make you feel complete, your energy shifts, and energy doesn't lie. The universe doesn't respond to begging, it responds to balance, to the calm, grounded presence of someone who knows who they are, even if nothing works out. And ironically, that's when things start to align. Why? Because you've stopped chasing from lack, and you've started attracting from wholeness. So if you've been holding on too tightly, if your grip is wearing you down, maybe it's time to loosen it. Not out of defeat, but out of wisdom. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start trusting. And that trust, that surrender, that silent confidence, that's the frequency the universe actually listens to. Part 4. Allow the void. This is where transformation happens. So you let go. You surrendered the chase. You stopped grasping. You exhaled. And now, nothing. No big breakthrough. No sign from the universe. No sudden shift or miracle moment. Just silence. This is what no one tells you about healing. After the release, there's a pause, a stillness, a space that feels like nothingness. Carl Jung called this the creative void. It's not a punishment. It's not emptiness. It's the sacred space between who you were and who you're becoming. But here's the thing. This part is hard because we've been taught to measure progress with proof. We crave feedback, signs, certainty, and when none of that comes, we start to panic. Did I do it wrong? Was any of it worth it? Why hasn't anything changed yet? But the void isn't the absence of change. It's where the deepest change happens. Think of it like a seed in the soil. The moment you plant it, nothing appears on the surface. But underneath, in the dark, in the quiet, roots are forming. This is your root-forming season. You may not see it, you may not feel it, but your nervous system is recalibrating. Your identity is shifting. Your old self is dissolving, and a new self is preparing to emerge. And yes, it's uncomfortable because you're standing in a space where the old no longer fits and the new hasn't fully arrived. But the question is, can you stay present in the void without rushing to fill it? Can you resist the urge to self-sabotage just because it feels unfamiliar? Because this right here, this silence, is a test, not of your strength, but of your trust. The void is where you prove to the universe, I don't need proof to believe anymore. I am the proof. So if you're in that in-between space right now, breathe. Don't rush. Don't run. Don't retreat to old patterns just to feel safe. Stay. Because when you can be still in the silence, you're no longer trying to become. You already are. And that's when life begins to move. Not because you forced it, but because you aligned with it. Part 5. Integrate, don't obsess. Desire gets a bad reputation. We're told that wanting too much makes us selfish, greedy, or ungrateful. But here's the truth. Desire isn't the problem. Obsession is. Desire is a compass. It points us toward something deeper. It says there's a part of you that's ready to evolve. But when desire turns into obsession, checking your phone 20 times a day, replaying old conversations, overthinking every delay, it stops being guidance and becomes a trap. Let me put it this way. You don't really want money just to have numbers in a bank account. You want to feel safe. You don't want a relationship just to post cute pictures. You want to feel seen. You don't crave success for the applause. You crave the inner voice that finally whispers, "You're enough." Carl Jung understood this. He taught that every desire is a message from your unconscious, not to chase something outside of you, but to awaken something inside you. So the question isn't, how do I get this? The real question is, what part of me believes this thing will make me whole? Because once you name that part, you can heal it. And when you heal it, you don't need the thing to feel full anymore. This is the shift. Stop striving to be perfect. Start allowing yourself to become whole. That means holding both your light and your shadow, your confidence and your insecurity, your strength and your softness. When you stop rejecting the parts of yourself you don't like, you stop needing the world to fill in the gaps. You become your own mirror, your own validation, your own sanctuary. And here's what's beautiful. When you no longer chase from lack, when you're no longer begging the world to prove your worth, you become magnetic because you're not attracting what you obsess over. You're attracting what you've made peace with. So next time you feel the urge to spiral, to cling, to grasp, to overthink, pause, close your eyes, take a breath, and ask, what part of me still thinks this thing will complete me? Then hold that part gently, not to fix it, but to integrate it. Because when you realize you're already whole, you stop asking life to complete you, and you start letting life meet you. Not from a place of need, but from a place of truth. Part 6. The ego wants control. The soul wants peace. Let's be honest. There's a part of you that's always watching the clock, always refreshing your inbox, always wondering, why hasn't it happened yet? That part of you, that's not your intuition. That's not your soul. That's your ego, trying to stay safe through control. You see, the ego doesn't like the unknown. It craves guarantees. It wants timelines, outcomes, confirmation. The ego says, if I can control this, maybe I won't get hurt again. But the soul whispers something very different. It says, I've survived before. I trust what's unfolding. Here's the truth most people miss. Control is not confidence. It's fear in disguise. You feel it in that tightness in your chest when things don't go as planned. That anxiety masked as motivation, that inner voice saying, do more, fix it, make it happen now. And you convince yourself it's your intuition, but intuition doesn't panic. Intuition doesn't pressure. Intuition speaks in stillness. It moves from peace. So here's the question I invite you to ask. Whenever you feel that internal urgency rise, is this coming from my ego or from my essence? Because they'll guide you in two very different directions. The ego pushes, it grasps, it forces, it needs the result to feel secure. But the soul, it waits, it trusts, it flows. It knows the result isn't what makes you whole because you already are. Carl Jung understood this inner conflict better than anyone. He didn't try to destroy the ego. He invited us to balance it, to stop letting it dominate our decision and start letting the soul lead. So when you're caught in fear, when everything in you wants to do something just to feel less uncertain, pause. Don't suppress the panic, but don't let it drive you either. Instead, breathe. Put your hand over your heart and ask, what would the healed version of me do right now? Because that version of you, the real you, doesn't beg, doesn't grasp, doesn't chase. It chooses peace, even when it's uncomfortable, even when there's no proof, because that's what the soul knows. Everything meant for you will arrive, not on your schedule, but in perfect time, and it will feel like coming home. Part 7. Shadow work is manifestation work. Let's talk about something that most manifestation content won't touch. Something deeper than affirmations, vision boards, or visualizing your dream life. Here it is. You can't manifest a new reality while rejecting parts of your current self. You can't call in love while hiding your shame. You can't attract abundance while avoiding your fear. You can't embody wholeness while denying your wounds. Because manifestation doesn't start with your goals. It starts with your truth. And your truth includes everything, not just the pretty parts. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the part of you that's been pushed down, buried, silenced. It's your anger that you were told was too much, your fear that you've been running from for years, your guilt, your insecurity, your unworthiness, all tucked away out of sight. But here's the thing. What's hidden doesn't disappear. It just drives your life from the back seat, quietly influencing every decision, every desire, every relationship. If you're manifesting from unhealed pain, you will attract things that echo that pain. You might call in love, but it triggers your fear of abandonment. You might achieve success, but feel like an imposter the whole time. You might get the money, but spend it just as fast to soothe the anxiety underneath. That's not alignment. That's fragmentation. And this is where shadow work becomes essential. Not to shame yourself, not to fix what's wrong, but to look gently at the parts of you that have been asking for your attention. To say, I see you. You're allowed to be here. You don't have to run the show anymore. Because the moment your shadow is seen, it stops screaming. It stops sabotaging. It stops hiding in your manifestations, hoping someone or something else will finally make you feel whole. Real manifestation isn't about attracting something new. It's about becoming someone true. When you integrate your shadow, when you bring all parts of you into the light, you shift from chasing out of lack to creating from wholeness. And that shift, it changes everything. So the next time you're writing a goal, setting an intention, or asking the universe for more, ask yourself, what part of me still believes I'm not already enough? That's where your real work begins, not in what you want to get, but in who you're willing to become to hold it. Part 8, don't become the blocker of your own destiny. Here's a truth that's hard to swallow, but impossible to ignore. The only thing standing between you and the life you want might be you, not the world, not your past, not the people who didn't believe in you. You, because self-sabotage doesn't always look like failure. Sometimes it looks like hesitation, like perfectionism, like waiting for the right time that never comes. Why does this happen? Because deep down, part of you still doesn't believe you're worthy of the thing you say you want. And that internal conflict, that tug of war between your conscious dreams and your unconscious doubts, it creates resistance. You say, I want love, but your energy says, I'm scared of being seen. You say, I want abundance, but your nervous system whispers, I don't trust myself with it. This is why you can work hard, stay positive, set goals, and still feel like something invisible is blocking your path. That something isn't the universe. It's the version of you that still believes you have to earn what's already yours. Carl Jung once said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And he was right, because real self-acceptance means facing the parts of you you've spent years avoiding, the guilt, the regret, the fear that maybe you're not enough. But here's the shift. Once you stop running from yourself, you stop running in circles. Once you fully accept who you are, not just the strong parts, but the scared ones too, you stop being the obstacle and start becoming the channel. You no longer send mixed signals into the universe. Your energy aligns, your desires integrate, and life begins to reflect back your belief that you are ready and deserving. So if you feel stuck right now, if things just aren't moving, don't ask, why isn't it working? Ask, what part of me still believes I'm not worthy of receiving this? Because once that belief shifts, everything else begins to move. This isn't about pushing harder. It's about becoming softer, more honest, more whole. You don't need to do more. You need to become the version of yourself who no longer doubts. That version is already inside you, waiting for permission to lead. Final chapter. You're not manifesting, you're remembering. Let me tell you something that might just change the way you see your entire journey. You're not manifesting. You're remembering. All this time you thought you were building something new, chasing the life you wanted, the success you dreamed of, the love you felt was missing. But what if you're not chasing anything new? What if you're simply finding your way back to who you've always been? See, manifestation isn't about becoming someone else. It's about peeling away everything you're not. The fear, the conditioning, the stories someone else wrote for you, the masks you wore just to feel accepted. Carl Jung said, "You are not meant to be fixed. You are meant to be revealed." And that's the difference. You don't need to keep striving to be enough. You already are. You were born enough. You just forgot. You forgot because the world taught you to measure your worth through achievement, to prove your value through productivity, to earn love by performing, pleasing, pretending. But at your core, beneath all the noise, there's a version of you that never needed to hustle to feel whole. And when you stop, truly stop, when you pause the proving, the grasping, the endless doing, you return to that original frequency, the one you were born with, the one that knows, I am already it. You don't need to chase alignment. You are alignment. You don't need to force your future. You embody it. This isn't about sitting back and doing nothing out of fear. It's about choosing stillness from trust. It's about realizing that the peace you've been seeking was never outside of you. It was inside, waiting for you to remember. So here's the invitation. Don't spend your life chasing the life you think you should have. Start listening to the one that's already been whispering from within. You are not late. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are simply waking up. And in that awakening, you don't manifest something new. You remember something ancient, something true, something unshakable. You, welcome back. So if this message stirred something in you, don't scroll past it. Take a breath. Place your hand on your heart and say it out loud just once. I remember who I am. Then share this video with someone else who's been chasing too long. Someone who needs a reminder that they were never broken, just disconnected. Because when you remember who you are, you give others permission to do the same.